Hello,
And welcome to Hair Loss Goss.
with me, James.
And me, Sally.
Wow, this is our first podcast, and we've got a great space here. I don't know if you've seen on our social media. We've got a really good podcast studio here, thanks to Rufio James. So thank you very much for
Thank you.
finding a space for us.
Don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, we've not really got much of a
Just
clue.
winging this one.
We are. It's the first one for us, so bear with us. But yeah, Hair Loss Goss. What is it? What are we doing it for, Sal?
Hair Loss Goss we have decided to create because we run a hair loss clinic and there is not enough information out there about hair loss clinics.
Agree.
And what hair loss solutions there are for people that are a non-surgical way. So we wanted to get that information out there in a different way, because I certainly don't like to look through websites and read information. I just think it's really good sometimes to listen. So
And it's 2024 and everyone's doing podcasts.
exactly.
So I thought,
Why not?
Why not? Shall we just do it? So as Sally said, we're just going to start this podcast. It's going to be a safe and relaxed space for us to really talk about hair loss and why we're doing it. We're going to get a few guests in across the series. And we've got people that have either experienced hair loss or hair loss specialists. So we're going to have lots of information coming in for people to either listen to in the car or watch on YouTube. It's going to be an exciting time, I think.
Yeah, it will be. And I think there's so many people that live with hair loss that feel like they're on their own, and this will open up the doors to show people that so many people live with it.
Yeah.
And there's help out there and there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Absolutely, yeah. So before we started Hair Loss Goss, we set up a hair loss clinic called Cheshire Hair Clinic about 2 years ago now,
Yeah,
isn't
it's coming up to 2 years.
Crazy how time flies.
Oh my God, yes.
And the main purpose of Cheshire Hair Clinic was to help both men and women with hair loss and their issues. And we came from it from personal experience as well, didn't we? It wasn't just a case of there was an opportunity for us to
Mainly you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because you had done so much research into hair systems.
Yeah, so I'm a hair system wearer. I have been for the past 6 or 7 years now. I started losing my hair I was about 24, 25.
Yeah.
Quite a few years ago now, unfortunately. And had a few bad experiences with hair system providers after doing a lot of my own research myself. And then Sally...
I was your family hairdresser at the time.
Yeah.
I'd never even heard of what a hair system was. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
So obviously we were all locked down. We all weren't allowed to go outside. How crazy is that, by the way?
Yeah.
To actually think that we all went to the supermarket with rubber gloves on our things thinking we were going to die.
Well, I didn't have rubber gloves on, but yeah, go on.
And I remember I went to your house one day and you opened the door and all of a sudden you had this hair and I was like, oh my God, he looks really good. But I didn't know what it was that made you look that good. But I was like, what is it?
Yeah.
And you were like, I've had a hair system, but the hair system that you got, you weren't pleased with. It wasn't exactly what you wanted, was it? So you asked me to come and help to recut the style and make it look a little bit better. And that was when I first knew about hair systems.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a dead guinea pig on my head. Wasn't great. Look, colour match was awful. And the whole experience of getting the hair system and then having to deal with it through COVID where you couldn't get it maintained properly, and it was just an absolute nightmare. So me being me, I was like, well, what's the solution? I need to find a way that's better than this. And so I started thinking about offering this service through my own experience and thought, well, there would be no one better to come join me with that than Sally. So,
well, originally though, when you had that first one that went wrong and we sorted it out, you did so much research into that hair system.
Yeah, loads.
That you then worked out how to install a hair system yourself.
Yeah.
Then you would get me to come and cut it, and then I would maintain your sides, and then that's how we got to where we are now, really.
Yeah. And in the area such as we are, like in Cheshire, there is a couple of specialists in and around Manchester, but at that time there wasn't an awful lot of information or people out there that you could necessarily go to. It would just be a quick Google search and you wouldn't have an awful lot to go on. So what we wanted to provide was something that was definitely more client focused much more about the support and guidance element, because getting a hair system is completely different to getting a haircut, right?
100%.
You don't just go into the salon and come out 20 minutes later.
No, and it's not as easy as people think. Like,
it's not.
To blend a hair system into a cut, no way. It's there's so many bad ones that I've seen that you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell you've got a hair system. The point of having a hair system is that you don't.
Yeah, it's supposed to be imperfect. It's supposed to be realistic.
Meant to be really seamless, really realistic.
Exactly. And some people get it right and others don't. And so we wanted to provide a service where when people came to us, not only would they get a really good level of service and they would have the ability to get their hair back, which is absolutely amazing, we'd also be there for them in the background to support them, because psychologically there's a massive issue there, right?
Definitely.
Isn't there? You're not just going in for a haircut. You go in, and then a couple of hours later, you come back out with a full head of hair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
I think as well, when with hair loss, it massively affects people's confidence. Yeah. Like, hugely. Like, the amount of people that I have had walk through the salon door, and I've had them in consultations, and they physically will not look at me through the mirror is like, it's so sad to see. But then once they've had a hair system, a couple of months later, they're completely different people, and they're looking at me and they're full of confidence.
Yeah.
And hair is such a big thing.
It is a big thing, and that's why we set up this podcast. So although we're going to talk a lot about hair systems and toppers for women and all that kind of stuff that we do at Cheshire Hair Clinic, hair loss Goss is more than that, right? We're going to be talking about the reasons for hair loss, why it happens, how it happens, and solutions and potential, medication for it, the routes that people go down. For men, a lot of the default is hair transplant, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know that that's not suitable for them. It might not be suitable. They might not want to go through that whole process. So for us, it's an education tool for people to kind of come on board and just listen for 20 minutes every day or whatever they want to do. Every week we can have a new episode out, and it'll be about 20 minutes long. Although we're very good at talking, so it might be longer than 20 minutes. Don't know. You'll have to just wait and see on that one. But it's much more than just hair systems. But we will be focusing on that a lot because that's our expertise.
Yeah, and then there's going to be ones for women. Like, everyone thinks that women just have the solution of a wig.
Yeah,
that's not the case. Sometimes a wig's too much to cover the little hair loss. Sometimes it's only more on the top, or you've got hair extensions, you've got hair toppers, you've got hair wigs, you've got mesh integration. There's a lot of different methods for women as well. And, it just because you've got a bit of hair loss doesn't mean you instantly have to go for a wig. You can also try toppers and hair extensions in different ways. So we'll go through that as well. And also the reasons why women do lose hair and unfortunately do have hair loss. And it's not just if it's medical, it can be, well, it's all medical, but it's not as going down the cancer route and having chemotherapy. It can be autoimmune diseases, it can be thyroid issues, it can be alopecia. There's lots of different ways that will.
Yeah, and you had your own experience of hair loss as well.
Yeah, definitely. I had postpartum hair loss, which was bad enough as it is. And some people get it really bad, some people don't get it that much, but I was quite bad with it. And then after having my first child, Faith, it was like not stopping, because normally hair loss after postpartum will happen about around 3 to 4 months. If you're breastfeeding, it will last a little bit longer. You'll hold on to your hair for a little bit longer, start a bit later. And then I kept losing hair, and then all of a sudden I felt really ill as well. And I was like, my hair was then coming out even more when it was meant to be stopping. And then I was like, why is this happening? So all my front of my temples went really, really bad around the front. So I didn't want to wear my hair up, and it just knocked my confidence. And you know what it's like when you've had a kid? Like, already your self-esteem's low because you don't feel yourself.
Is that because the body's going into a resting phase after giving birth? It's
so
so much energy.
I think you hold a hormone when you're pregnant, which what we call the glow hormone, basically, really? Which is why your skin's amazing and why your hair's amazing. And then once you've had the baby, and then all them hormones are coming out of your body, you then lose that, and that's when the 9 months of hair kind of comes out. So then after I had the postpartum hair loss, I was still losing a lot of hair. So I ended up going to blood tests and then ended up getting diagnosed with underactive thyroid.
Yeah.
And so if I don't take medication for life now, the first thing that will go is my hair. And it's awful. So my hair's fortunately fine because I can take medication for it. But I know I have experienced what it feels like to have really crap hair.
And thyroid's a massive one, isn't it?
It's the accelerator of your body.
It is, but if you have an underactive or an overactive thyroid, it can still produce the same results. You can still have hair loss from that. So that's quite interesting. Yeah. I think also we want to talk about things like stress. Obviously, that's a massive impact on hair loss. And also things like medication. I was doing some research the other day, and I didn't realise how many medications a side effect of hair loss is. Yeah. So,
loads.
Things like birth control even can have
blood pressure, isn't it? Blood pressure ones.
Immunosuppressants. Yeah. Antibiotics, HRT treatments, steroids, obviously, a fairly obvious one. And things like weight loss drugs, which at the moment are a huge thing.
But also if you lose loads of weight as well.
Yeah.
Because you go from a dramatically high calorie diet to then low, you do lose a lot of hair as well.
Yeah.
That's a really common thing when you lose loads of weight.
Because your body's trying to produce enough energy to keep all your cells, including your hair cells, going. It can't do that if you're on a massive calorie deficit. And then, that's when you get the hair loss. It's an interesting one. So that's why we set up Hair Loss Goss, really.
Try and get the information out to you guys.
Totally.
To make you not feel like you're on your own.
Absolutely not. And obviously we are available. We've got our Instagram social media channel, which we're going to be on a lot of.
Yes. You'll get bored of seeing our faces.
Yeah, there's going to be a YouTube channel as well, which we'll put all of our episodes on. So hello to everyone on there. Hi. Just we're really excited to get some kind of guests in and to speak more broadly about hair loss.
And have real life experiences.
Totally.
To show people that it's a lot of people suffer from it.
Yeah, and hair loss now, I would argue, is much more of a choice than anything else anymore. So
definitely, because there's so many options out there that you can do about it.
Yeah, and even hair transplants, they've got so many different varieties of hair transplants now. Even ones where they claim it's not as painful and recovery time isn't as long, all that kind of stuff. So there really is an option out there for everyone. So it's not just about us going to be plugging what we do on our day-to-day lives, but we'll also be talking about what the other options are as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If we can help somebody, then that's our aim.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I don't know if we need to talk any more about on this first episode. It's just a bit of an introduction to us, really.
I would say that's wrapped up, wouldn't you?
Next episode, what we're going to talk about.
Don't know, what is it?
Don't know, I'm just looking at my notes now. So we're going to talk about hair loss more specifically. So why hair loss occurs, and is it something that we can avoid, and is there a way to stop and reverse hair loss even? So interesting episode. So thanks for listening.
Thank you, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
Bye.